So I feel like Hell Is Us could end up being just the kind of game I'm looking for. A dark, mysterious world with lots of environmental puzzles that require some experimentation to solve, poking your nose into everyone's business in order to get to the bottom of things. Or it could be a confusing slog of a game that purposefully wastes your time with bad puzzles and hordes of enemies that constantly get in the way of whatever you were trying to do. One thing's for sure though, it did catch my attention during the State of Play presentation a few weeks ago, which ultimately led to me wanting to make this video. And the number one reason I have high hopes for Hell Is Us is the poncho. I loved my poncho customization in Jedi Fallen Order. It's like a more functional cape. There's a reason we don't do capes anymore. But in all seriousness, here's the rundown on the game. You play as Remy, who is smuggled out of his home country of Hadia as a kid due to a brutal civil war. A couple decades later, he decides to sneak back in and search for his parents, his only memory being the name of his village and that his father used to be the blacksmith there. So the big thing that the creative director down here in the bottom right corner keeps mentioning is that this won't be like other games, meaning no map at all, which is kinda wild, no quest markers or waypoints, no quest log. Will this end up being completely frustrating? It's quite possible, but I do think it's interesting that the exploration piece of the game takes sort of an investigation approach. You can see here what information you've gathered so far, which I'm assuming will open up new dialogue options with characters as you learn more. Also, there's a sort of knowledge tree that fills out as you pick up leads. I do believe this is the only tab we've been shown here on our datapad, but I am curious to see what is under exploration if it isn't a map. Because a map is, as far as I can think of, the best way to visually show off locations you've explored and what you've discovered in them so far. Hell Is Us is apparently going to be about 50% exploration and 50% combat. I don't really care about the latter, if I'm being honest. This is not a Souls-like, despite what I and many others first thought. It does have stamina-based melee combat, but I suppose it's not designed to be quite as punishing, like no XP loss, if that's even a thing here. There's definitely a lot happening on screen during combat with the attacks, effects, and health bars everywhere. We do also have a drone companion that'll help us out with larger groups of enemies, which could be kinda neat, and overall combat looks fine. It's not really what I'm here for. I'm here for the story. What happened during the war? What happened before the war? Who built these ancient dungeons? Where did these creatures come from? Will the game even run on my PC? Who knows, but at least I have until 2025 to figure it out, because that's when it's supposed to launch. I really feel like I'm walking right into a trap here by thinking too much about the game. That's usually how it goes for me in AAA titles, and is the reason I tend to stick to indie games. I get too excited by all the possibilities and what-ifs, only to realize that the game probably wasn't really even for me in the first place. Before I sign off though, there is one game that at least tonally reminds me a lot of Hell Is Us, and that is We Kill Monsters. I suppose the names are somewhat similar, 3-word phrases about we and us that are pretty dark. This game is also visually dark and at times very strange, even a bit alien. This one is about hunting down monsters and does have a lot of survival elements, but it seems like the exploration part, coming across ruins, strange symbols, locked doors, is all similar to what Hell Is Us is going for. If you're not really into AAA games but still dig this style, I think it's at least worth checking out. And look at that, I have a video about it already.